Imagine a basketball game where the court is covered in slippery ice or bubbling lava or giant rocks falling from the ceiling, and only the biggest, strongest animals are allowed to play. That is rollerball, the sport that the whole city of Vineland lives and breathes. And for as long as anyone could remember, there was one rule that nobody dared to break: smalls can't ball. But one small goat named Will Harris was about to prove that rule was wrong. Will had dreamed of playing rollerball ever since he was a kid when his mother took him to see his hero, a Black Panther named Jet Fillmore, score the winning points for the Vineland Thorns. He looked up at his mom and said, "That's gonna be me someday." But then his mother got sick and died, and Will ended up living alone in a cramped basement apartment, working as a busboy at the same diner where she used to work. Every day, bigger animals laughed at him and told him he was too small to ever play. They did not know that Will had a secret weapon. Because he was a goat, his eyes were on the side of his head, giving him nearly 360-degree vision, so he could see everything on the court that everyone else missed. But would anyone ever give him a chance to show what he could do? That chance came when the biggest, cockiest star in the league rolled into town. Man attraction was a stallion, a towering horse with a flowing mane, and he was the league MVP, the self-proclaimed greatest of all time. He showed up at a local court to play pickup games for cash, beating everyone with ease and laughing in their faces. Will saw his moment and bet every dollar he had, his rent money, just for one game. Maine looked down at the little goat and sneered, "Smalls can't ball." What happened next made the whole world stop and stare. For the first few minutes, Will did the impossible. He used his low center of gravity to duck under Mane's legs, his goat vision to dodge moves nobody else could see, and his quickness to cross the stallion so hard that Mane fell to the ground. Then Will dunked twice. The crowd that had come to watch the big star fell silent, but just when it seemed the underdog was about to win, the league MVP decided to get serious. Mane took off his jewelry, stopped playing around, and used every bit of his size and power to crush Will. He blocked Will's shots, stole the ball, and dunked so hard the whole hoop shook. When it was over, Mane took all of Will's money and walked away saying, "Smalls can't ball." The crowd laughed. Will walked home with empty pockets and a bruised heart, thinking his dream was over. But someone in the crowd had been recording, and that video was about to change everything. Overnight, the video went viral. Millions of animals watched a little goat make the league MVP look silly, even if only for a few minutes. Suddenly, everyone was talking about Will. The very next day, a sleek black car pulled up outside the diner where he worked out. Stepped Flo Everson, a tough warthog in an expensive suit who owned the Vineland Thorns. She offered Will a contract on the spot. Will could hardly believe it. He signed without even reading the fine print, so excited that his childhood dream was finally coming true. But when he walked into the Thorns training facility, he found a team in ruins. Jet Fillmore, his hero, was furious that he had been signed. She thought he was just a cheap publicity stunt, and at his very first press conference, she made fun of him in front of everyone. How could the person he admired most be the one trying to tear him down? The rest of the team was a mess too. The coach, a monkey named Dennis, had no real power because Jet ran everything. Lenny the giraffe was more interested in his rap career than in basketball. Archie the rhino was a single dad, so exhausted from raising twin daughters that he could barely stay awake at practice. Olivia the ostrich never looked up from her phone, too anxious about what people said about her online. And Modo the Komodo dragon was so weird that his own teammates didn't know whether to laugh or cry. Jet refused to let Will play. Game after game, he sat on the bench in his uniform, watching the Thorns lose. While Money Attractions diss track about him played on every radio station, Will felt humiliated, but he refused to give up. He challenged Jet to a one-on-one game to prove he deserved to play. She accepted, and she beat him easily, but something happened that nobody expected. In the next official game, Jet got thrown out and Will finally got his chance. With Jet on the bench, Coach Dennis put Will on the court. The other team laughed when they saw a goat in uniform. But Will used his speed, his vision, and his unbreakable spirit to zip around the big players. He made passes that seemed to come out of nowhere. He scored. The Thorns won their first game in weeks, and the crowd chanted his name. After the win, the owner Flo wanted to film a special video where Jet would pass the torch to Will. Jet refused and stormed off. That was when Will finally stood up to her. He told her that the team had won when she wasn't on the court, not to be mean, but to show that everyone mattered. The other players who had been silent for years started speaking up too. Jet was stunned. Later, Will helped Jet escape a swarm of reporters, and in the quiet of an alley, she finally told him the truth. Years ago, she had lost a championship game that everyone called the four-ball game. She had missed the winning shot, and ever since then, she had been terrified of failing again. That fear had made her push everyone away. Will took her to the diner where he worked, a place covered in Thorns memorabilia, and told her how the community had saved him after his mother died. For the first time, Jet started to see things differently. Jet began to change. She went on a live stream with Mane Attraction, and instead of trash talking, she said something kind about every one of her teammates. The video melted hearts across the league. More importantly, she finally let coach Dennis do his job. He created a plan that used each player's special skill: Lenny's height, Archie's father's strength, Olivia's speed, Modo's weirdness, and Will's goat vision. The Thorns started winning, and they didn't stop. Game after game, the team climbed the standings. The whole city of Vineland got behind them. Kids wore goat horns to school, and the cheer echoed through the arena. But just before the playoffs, Will overheard something that shattered everything. Following Jet to a secret meeting, he hid behind a door and listened as Flo Everson announced that she had sold the Thorns after the season. The team would move away forever. Will begged Jet to tell the team. Jet refused, afraid the news would destroy their focus. In the first playoff game with the Thorns losing on an ice court, Will could not stay silent. He told the whole team about the sale right there during a timeout. The players were furious and heartbroken. Jet got mad and tried to win the game all by herself, even stealing a shot from Will at the final buzzer. The Thorns won that game, but the team was shattered. Jet had been selfish, and now everyone knew their team was leaving. Will went back to his basement apartment, ready to give up, but Jet came to find him at the old practice cage where his journey had begun. For the first time, she let down every wall and said she was sorry, truly sorry. She admitted she had been scared of losing her title, scared of being forgotten, and she had taken it out on the one person who only wanted to help. Together, Will and Jet visited each teammate to apologize and ask them to return. One by one, the Thorns came back. The team was whole again just in time for the championship game. Their opponent, Mane Attraction, and the lava court Magmas on a court surrounded by rivers of lava. The whole world was watching. Would the Thorns fall apart again, or would they finally rise together? The game was a battle. Both teams fought with everything they had. With the score tied in the fourth quarter, Mane Attraction committed a dirty foul against Will, ramming him with his shoulder. Jet saw it coming and jumped in front, taking the hit herself. She crashed to the ground, her leg badly injured. The doctor said if she kept playing, her career might be over forever. Jet looked at her team, then at Will, and said she wasn't leaving. She stayed in the game on a leg that could barely hold her to the foul, and Archie the Rhino charged into Mane, getting the stallion thrown out of the game. The clock ticked down, 20 seconds left, tie score. Coach Dennis called a play that depended on everyone doing their part. But Jet's leg was too damaged to run or jump. How could they possibly win now? Jet limped to the corner and waved her arms like she was calling for the ball. The Magma's defender, still terrified of her, rushed toward her. That left Will wide open. He got the pass, dribbled once, twice, and used his goat vision to find an angle that no one else could see. He shot as the buzzer sounded. The ball arched through the air in perfect silence. Swish. The ball went through the net. The Thorns had won the championship. Jet limped over and hugged him. In the chaos, Mane Attraction's beautiful mane caught fire from a lava pit, and he ran around screaming while everyone laughed. But the celebration couldn't last. Flo Everson had sold the team, remember? The Thorns were supposed to leave Vineland. The parade through the city was bittersweet, everyone cheering but knowing it might be goodbye. Will gave a speech thanking the community that had saved him. Then Modo the Komodo dragon stepped forward with a huge grin on his face. All season long, Modo had been placing bets on rollerball games. Nobody paid much attention. They thought it was just another one of his weird hobbies, that he could buy the Thorns himself. He held up a contract and announced, "The team stays in Vineland." The crowd exploded with joy. Animals were crying, hugging and jumping up and down. It was the sound of a dream that had finally, against all odds, come true.